96.5 KLH. You are listening to Giving Tuesday, a holiday of miracles. It's a one-day event where we honestly pull together as a community and try to make miracles happen. Well, let's rephrase. We assist in the miracles happening because the people who work at Children's Hospital are the ones who are the miracle workers. They're the ones who do so much for our community, not just from the physical and mental standpoint of the patient, but also of the families. And in some cases, it can actually inspire you maybe to an entire career, which is what we're here to talk about. And let's welcome Katey Olson, who joins us. Katey, thank you very much for your time. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. Katey is a registered nurse. And where are you from, Katey? Your hometown?
Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Waukesha? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In year 6 of the Miracle Marathon, which would have been back in 2003, I'm told that we spoke with you on the radio. Do you remember that?
I do very much. It was after one of my chemotherapy stays, and we were coming back through the cafeteria, and you guys actually asked if I wanted to share my story back then. So me and my mom said, "Oh, of course." So.
And how old were you at the time?
I was 5.
5, okay.
And you remember? Wow.
I do, because it was after we did the interview, I was able to choose from the prize table, and I was so excited. And I saw this little hot air balloon that was more of like a table decoration, but I was like, that's the one that I want.
That is so funny.
And like to this day, I still have that hanging in my room.
Isn't that something? Okay, so we've got to go back and talk about why you were there at the age of 5. What was going on with you?
Yeah, so at the age of 5, I was diagnosed with Wilms tumor, which is kidney cancer. And my mom was actually the one who found that out because I was such an active young kid. I was playing and dancing. And then one day I started complaining of some stomach pain, which is really unusual because I never complain of pain. So my mom kind of investigated that and found that I did have a lump on my right side, which we immediately took to our pediatrician. And that night she called us and said, "You guys need to get into Children's right away," which is what we did. That very night I was admitted. And then surgery was the next day. So everything moved very fast. And Children's was so efficient with like getting us in, getting prepared, and letting us know kind of like what to expect that night.
And how long after the surgery were the chemo treatments? How long did that go?
So inpatient hospital wise, I was there for around 2 weeks, just kind of starting off my chemo and like seeing how my body was handling it. And then 7 months from there, I would come into the MACC Fund clinic and received chemotherapy. So then after those 7 months, I was considered cancer-free.
At that time, and I know you're just a little 5-6-year-old girl. Did that thought ever go through your mind back then? Like these nurses are so helpful. Maybe someday I'll be a nurse.
Yes and no. So at that time, they were like my second family. I was so excited to go see them. Every single time I would come back for my therapies, I'd want to show the nurses. I'd be like, "Look at how much hair I've grown," and like, "Look at these cool little new dance moves I have for you guys." And back then, I was just, that's what I looked forward to, was showing the nurses how I've grown, everything that I've been able to do while I was in the hospital. And then going forward from there, as I continued like progressing in my life and throughout my career, I would always think back to those wonderful memories I had at Children's and all the wonderful people that I met. So then picking my career, I was kind of like, this makes sense. Like, I loved the care that they gave me. They influenced my life so much. This is something that I really want to go into and be able to get back to Children's.
We hear that story every once in a while, and I think that is another unique thing about Children's Wisconsin is that, patients like you, I mean, Dave, I'm sure you know a lot more than I do that have gone back then to work there in some form.
It is really amazing. I'm sure you have coworkers that probably talk about it as well. It's an inspirational place. And so it's one of those things that unless you experience it, and you don't really want to have to experience it, but once you do, you understand just how special the place is. So now you're on the inside. How does it feel to be one of those caregivers?
Oh, it feels amazing. Honestly, just being back there, like things feel very familiar, like walking the hallways, but I'm able to give care and empathy on a whole different understanding for these kiddos. My team of nurses I work with is so helpful, and they are there to support me every step of the way, answer any questions that I have, which just makes being back there that much more special.
Katey, what's it like when, or maybe you haven't had the chance yet, to when you're caring for a child, for example, to share this story and say, you know, when I was a little girl, I was in here, and look at me now.
Yeah, so I have actually been able to share my story with a couple of patients. One recently, he was in there for like a chemo stay, and I was able to access his port, and we were just kind of talking about ports, and I was like, you know, back when I was going through chemotherapy, like I actually had a port of my own. And he was like, what? Like you went through chemotherapy? And I was like, yeah, kind of back when I was 5 years old, kind of similar to the age you were. I kind of went through the same thing. And we talked about stories about how we were bold and about all these cool different hats we could share. And that he was also really interested to watch his port get accessed, which is something I also shared. And just kind of other times throughout his stay, like when he wasn't feeling the greatest or just kind of feeling some of the side effects like of chemo, like the nausea, I was kind of able to sit with him and be like, I understand what you're going through. I've felt this. I know you don't feel good right now. You don't want to get out of bed, but I'm here to encourage you that like you can do this. You are so strong, and I'm here for you every single step of the way.
Yeah. So now you've become that person that you remembered the nurses that helped you. That's got to feel pretty good.
It is. It's awesome.
The reason that we're doing this today, Giving Tuesday, is because of the pandemic. We were unable to do the Miracle Marathon this year, which traditionally raises a lot of money for the caregivers and, of course, the children and families at Children's. And the one challenge we always have is for those who have never experienced Children's is to try to put into words what it means. And because of that, we rely on people like you. Explain to our community, the people who have never, ever been inside Children's Hospital, what it means to be a member of the staff and from the perspective of someone who needed care there.
Yeah. So kind of what Children means for me is that Children is so much more like a family. They are there to support you and to hold your hands through really difficult times. You know, thinking back to when I was there as a patient, the memories I think of today are extremely happy. They're fun. They're the times where I wanted to go back and kind of share like how I was doing. I don't think about all the negative, like hard times I had. And that's what I want people to really understand, is that the amazing care and the care and the love that the staff provide for you makes you feel at home, makes you feel comfortable with what's going on, even though you may not be comfortable with the things that are happening. But everyone is there to kind of just hold your hand and tell you that it's okay. And I especially feel that on the staff side, that when I'm caring for my patients, I feel a different type of connection with them. I can hold their hand and be there for them.
Thank you so much for saying that. And when you talk about it being a family, it just strikes me and occurs to me that I've done this for so long that the people at Children's are sort of like my family as well, because I spend so much time over there in an effort to try to raise money, but also I'm a dad and a grandpa. So unfortunately, we've had those, you know, bumps in the road where we've needed Children's. And it's always been, and no matter what your expectations are of Children's, and I think this is really important. And most people's expectations walking in are like, okay, this place is awesome. I've heard all about it. They've got the finest care in the world. And then those same people are shocked that what they're receiving, the care, the support, is above and beyond what they even thought they were going to get, which is almost hard to believe, but it's true. And that's what Children's means, I think, to our community. I think it's the way I always say it is that if we were to put, you know, some big monument up and we were to talk about the biggest and best things about living in southeastern Wisconsin, very few people, I think, would one of the first things that would come to mind would be like Summerfest and, you know, the lakefront, and hey, we have Giannis on our team, and we got the Packers and the Brewers and Miller Park, and people don't say Children's, but they should. I think they really, really should.
Hey,
Because
Katey,
the fact that we're so close to it is really a blessing.
It is.
I just wanted to know if there are any nurses on staff that were on staff when you were a patient. Do you work with any of them now?
I do. I actually, there's a couple in the clinic. I was actually shadowing over there for part of my nursing orientation. And I ran into this one nurse, and her name is Melissa. And I just kind of looked at her. And I didn't exactly know if I knew her, but by looking at her, I was like, you look very familiar. So, like, I walked up to her and I was like, hi. I was like, how long have you worked here? Because I always just ask that to just be professional. And she's like, oh my gosh, Katey, of course I remember you. And she gave me the.
She remembered you?
She remembered me.
That's amazing.
That is incredible.
She was one of my favorite nurses. Her name was Melissa. But just seeing her, there were tears in both of our eyes. It was just such a magical moment to have like one of my favorite nurses still be there and for her to remember me. And she's like, I'm so glad that you are back. And
that's beyond cool. That's an awesome story.
Yeah.
Katey, for the younger members of our audience who might be listening to this, maybe they don't even have their family yet. Maybe they don't even have, they're thinking, I don't have like $20 to send to Children's. Why is it important to support Children's?
It's extremely important to support Children's, just for other kiddos who are going through something that they didn't expect. They want to feel like a kid again. They want to walk the halls and play with their tricycles and draw amazing pictures. And to give anything like support and like maybe even drawings or just little pictures to kind of encourage them, to make them feel like a kid again and to make them kind of feel normal while they're going through what they're going through.
Thank you for your time today, Katey. And thank you for sharing the story. And let's not wait 17 years till you come back on the radio with us. Okay.
Of course not.
All right. Thanks, Katey. Take care.
Yeah. Thanks, you guys.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye, Katey.